Yes, people, and welcome to another episode of the Analysis at Anfield podcast, hosted by myself, Ryan, and I'm joined by one of my fellow co-hosts. The other two, unfortunately, can't make it today, but big up Nick and Mons. But I'm joined by my guy Cams, regular on the channel. How you doing, bro? You all good?
I'm good. Can't complain. Still on for a quadruple. Everything good.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that. And also joined by, we've had him on the show before. We've had him on the channel before. You see him on other channels, Redmen TV, other pods, etc. He's smashing it in the YouTube world. My guy Steve, how you doing, bro? You good?
Oh, always, mate. Always. Thanks for having me on. Always
Cheers for
enjoy
coming on.
chatting football with you. Yeah, known you a while now, mate. So
Long time, man. Well over a year now. Well over a year.
you're always in my WhatsApp, mate, asking me about football, mate. So you carry on
Actually,
doing
it's
that,
normally
mate.
on Twitter now, isn't it? Me and Steve chat about football a lot. Like, I'm always messaging him. What do you think of this? What do you think of this, man? Like, honestly, like when it comes to Liverpool, and I want to discuss it, like Cams as well, me and Cams. But I think these two on the panel are probably the two that are Liverpool fans. That if I want to discuss something about the club, these are the two that I message the most. If I'm being real.
Yeah, you always message me. We always have a little discussion.
No, it's all. You carry on, mate. It's all good.
Yeah, we get, I love the way you guys, your knowledge about football, the way you look at football, think about it. I actually love it. And that's why I love talking about football with you guys. But also, people, remember to smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, join the membership if you can as well. Go follow the Twitch. Sorry. And go follow Steve on his socials as well, Cams as well. I think that's your Twitter, right, isn't it, Steve? On screen.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't have a channel of my own. So listen, it's not just Liverpool fans; it's football fans. I'm a Liverpool fan first and foremost, but I've got my own opinions on lots of things to do with football, and have bounced around different channels, different clubs, doing pods. So you don't have to be a Liverpool fan to have a football conversation. So drop me a follow. There it is.
Yeah, make sure you go and do that, people. And make sure you go and do it to Cam's Twitter as well. Cams, what's your Twitter at again, man?
At Cam_731, I think.
Yeah, it is, I think. Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, make sure you go and do that, people. Make sure you go and watch Steve's, on Redmen TV a lot. I think you all know what Redmen TV is. So make sure you go and watch these shows on there, man. I've watched a few. It's really, really good. So make sure you go and do that as well, people. But we'll get started. Obviously, the title of the video, Liverpool through to the Champions League final. Sorry. Not the first time we've said this over the last few years, to be honest. So I'll go to you first, Steve. What thoughts on, yet another final?
Fully expected, to be honest with you. We are alongside Manchester City, the two top clubs in World Club football right now. So in terms of getting to the final, I'm not surprised. Obviously, the first half at Villarreal didn't go as per the script. But what is encouraging is that we were able to switch it round at half time and come out in the second half and play the way that we wanted to play. So absolutely made up to be in our 10th European Cup final. Obviously, Real Madrid have bypassed City to get to the final, which is quite comical, but also a bit easier for us in terms of the game itself. So playing Manchester City in the European Cup final, the fear factor of losing is now gone. So I think we all would agree if we were to lose to Real Madrid, it's a lot easier conversation to swallow. It's a bit easier to justify. Losing to Manchester City in the European Cup final would be like, how do you come back from that? So
it would be horrible, yeah.
It would. So for that alone, Real Madrid is the better of the two teams for us to play, and certainly a team that we are considerably better than. And if we do what we do and we start early and do what we do, as opposed to the Villarreal first 45 minutes, I think we're too good for them, and I think we get the job done.
Yeah, I hear that, mate. I hear that. Cam's, same question to you, mate. Thoughts on the semi-final the other day and getting to another final against Madrid?
It's one of them things where I can't say I'm surprised, but at the same time, like, I'm still buzzing. Like, I predicted we'd win the Champions League since the start of the season, so I can't exactly say I'm surprised.
You did, to be fair. Yeah, you did.
Like, when Real Madrid won the other night, I was so happy because, like,
oh yeah,
just said it then. That fear factor of playing Man City in a final and potentially giving them their first European Cup.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the team that's known to do that. I'm buzzing we play Real Madrid. It just eases that pressure a little bit.
100%. That's the same feeling I had the other day. Are we capable of beating Man City? Yes, 100%. But they are a better team than Real Madrid. But also, it is that risk, that stress of losing to Manchester City in the Champions League final would be so difficult to take. Losing to any English team, is horrible, and especially to the team that we've been competing with a lot over the last few years would have been horrible to lose to them. So I hear that completely. Yeah, I hear that. I'm very happy we got Madrid, but it's not going to be an easy game at all. Somehow they keep getting through Real Madrid. But in terms of the game the other day, what did you make of two very contrasting halves of football from us, to be honest? So, Steve, I'll go to you first, mate.
I think the occasion got to us. We looked worried. We looked nervous to start with. 2-0 is the worst possible score you can go into a second leg with, because what do? Do you stick or do you bust? Do you go looking for goals, or do you have what you hold what you have even? And I think we got stuck between the two, and you invariably end up doing nothing. And I think that's pretty much what happened. We kept giving the ball away. Our fullbacks were just sticking the ball long, straight down the throat to Villarreal central defenders. Our midfield wasn't operating particularly well. They were good value for their 2 goals. I thought we've got everything wrong. What is a really good sign of a good football club and an even better coaching staff is you can have 10, 12 minutes talking about it at half time. You can show passages of play from previous games and how to solve the problems. And we did, and we came out in the second half and we looked a completely different team. Much of that credit has to go to what Luis Diaz gives you when he comes on. His first opportunity, he gets the ball, he gets it down, he goes past people and he gets around the back of them. And in all the time he's doing that, what that allowed us to do was for our back 4 to push up to where we want them to be. We never had that opportunity in the first half. We couldn't get out off the edge of our box. But when Diaz came on and he gave us the out ball, Konate and Van Dijk pushed up to the centre circle and normal service was resumed. So, yes, there were some concerns. Yes, there were some worries. Was I ever of the opinion we may lose the tie? No, I don't think I was, because I knew we'd score. So which meant they'd have had to score twice more to win the tie. And I didn't. Look, you're not conceding 4 goals away at Villarreal. That just wouldn't have happened to Liverpool. So leading up to half-time was a concern. It's been kind of a recent theme for Liverpool of late. Let's get to half-time so we can sort out what's going on.
Yeah, get the team together, make a change if you need to, and all this. Yeah,
City in the league was a classic example of that.
Yeah,
they could have been out of sight and gone by half-time, but they weren't. Yeah. And we galvanised ourselves and came again and slightly different tactically in the second half. And we all know how that game ended up.
Did you see the Everton game as well?
Yeah, exactly the same, mate. Sometimes you need 10 minutes just to tweak a few things, because sometimes the players don't see it because they're too busy dealing with what they're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. I completely agree that. I mean, for me, I thought how I'd summed that game up. The first half is probably the worst first half I've seen from this team this season. And the second half was arguably the best I've seen from us this season, to be honest. I thought we destroyed them second half. But Cam's thoughts going to you now. What were your thoughts on the game the other day as a whole?
Like you both said, that first half we were terrible. I've never seen Thiago give away the ball that much. And him, of all players, I didn't think the occasion would get to him. But considering it got to him, who's probably our most experienced player in that team when it comes to those sort of like moments, like it just shows how big it was. We were just so bad, and like a flips, like it was like a flip of a switch that second half, and we just went back to what we've been like all season. But that first half was ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, I hear that completely. I hear that. I mean, the whole team, I know Jota got taken off, and I know me and Cams have our opinions on Jota, especially when he starts games. But Steve, what are your thoughts on Jota as a whole? Because it is an interesting topic for us fans, Do you think he should be a regular starter, or do you think he should just be a squad player, impact sub?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because it was him and Mane for the left side. Then Mane reinvented himself as a 9, which kind of gave Jota a bit more freedom to play on that left side. And then we go and sign Luis Diaz that, is first choice at the left wing position right now. With Jota, link play isn't great. He's certainly no Bobby. He can't play with his back to goal, or he can, but he doesn't have the same effectiveness as Bobby. He needs to have a little think about where he's at and what he needs to do to change that. He's a goal scorer. He's a threat. He scores goals that none of the other.
Yeah, in terms of movement and his finishing, that those are his strengths as a player.
But I remember listening to Dean Saunders a couple of weeks, and it's always been the Liverpool way. Stop running with the ball is what they're told. Pass the ball, play with your back to goal. And I've always said that there's limitations in terms of Jota's game with regards to playing with back to goal. Right now, he's fourth choice in the pecking order for the front three. I think it's marginally ahead of Bobby because Bobby's had not much game time through injury. It's becoming a squad game, isn't it? It's no longer about 11 players; it's about 20 players. So I think these guys understand this, and I don't think there's an issue with him. I don't think there will be an issue with him, and I think he's quite comfortable with what he's doing. Still scoring 20 goals a season. He's still well revered in the league. I just think. Right now, Diaz is much more direct and creates so many problems, and he's only going to get better. We will be having Salah-type conversations about Diaz in 2 years, mate. I promise you that now. But Jota's, as I say, fourth choice for me in terms of the front three.
I mean, I hear that completely, yeah. Obviously, we all know the limitations in Jota's game, but were you surprised the other day in the first half that he was playing down the middle a lot of the time? Because I thought, okay, Jota, I wasn't happy when I saw the lineup in terms of Jota starting away in a Champions League semi-final, where, let's be honest, they're going to try and attack us. So I thought we're going to need someone up front when the ball does get to him to hold it, link it, etc. But I thought, okay, Jota's going to be playing on the left then and Mane down the middle, because how can you move Mane from the middle where he's been absolutely smashing it? But then I was just shocked that, and it was infuriating me that I was just seeing Jota down the middle throughout most of the first half. Cams, what were your thoughts on that first, actually? Did you expect that from us in that first half in terms of that kind of position, in terms of Jota playing down the middle?
I didn't, but I think it's something that Klopp likes. Like he thinks like they have a lot of intensity between the three. Like he didn't play it exactly where he did start that against Man City, I'm sure, didn't he? In the FA Cup.
In the league, he started Mane, Jota, and Salah. Jota down the middle in the first half, and then I think didn't he switch Mane and Jota in the second? But then he subbed Jota off like 15 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, he did. He seems to like that front three because of what they give him pressing wise, but I feel like it doesn't make up for like that hold up play that you need. It doesn't make up for that. I like we've already said before, Ryan, we're not a fan of that front three. Like when Jota plays through the middle, like I think it's terrible. You can't play. You can play and get away against like the smaller teams, but I think against the team where you need to keep the ball, and even like Villarreal, they're not a good side. Like they're just a very well structured side. They're about to finish seventh.
But it's going away in a Champions League semi-final. Like you can't be starting in that front three in these games for me.
I hear that, but it's Klopp. Like, I trust Klopp, but I don't want to see Jota again in these games. If he starts Jota in the final, oh my god, there's going to be outrage if he starts Jota in the final.
Yeah, that's not good news. But actually, Steve mentioned that Jota was fourth in the pecking order for attackers. Where is he for you in that pecking order?
Everyone fully fit. He's out of the starters. He's probably last. But that just shows how ridiculous our attacking depth is. That just shows like Jota, for anyone else in the league, he'd be up there, but for us, he's bottom. That just shows how ridiculous we are right now.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. Look, we have to speak about it as well. Luis Diaz the other day, because he was the one that changed the game. I know Steve was talking about him earlier, but let's go into it in more detail, Steve. Go. Let's eulogize about him for a bit. Floor is yours, Steve, on Luis Diaz and the overall impact he's made at the club, actually, not just that game the other day.
It's been like a breath of fresh air. He's come into the club. He's obviously an intelligent footballer because there's large parts of the system he gets. There's still some work to do in terms of that. He's got the street fighter sort of a style of Luis Suarez. he's got the same hunger and ability to go past people as Sadio Mane did in the first sort of year, 18 months or so. It's quite a nice hybrid to have with the two. So he's a brilliant asset for the football club. He's hungry for more. He's very grounded. He's very humble upbringing, very sort of depressed upbringing in a difficult times in a difficult area. So he's very grateful for the opportunities that are put in front of him in terms of playing football at Liverpool Football Club and going to a Champions League final. Must be incredible for him. The longer term view looks really pleasing for him because once he learns how to set the traps properly and allows us to win the ball back in areas where we can help him to be better, he plays without fear. He's scared of nobody. And as a centre-back, you don't want him bringing the ball down and then running at you. And that is his first thought when he gets the ball is, I'm going to beat you. And it's so quick. He's quicker than Mane. He's quicker than Salah. Might even be the quickest at the football club. He's just a brilliant, brilliant asset. And if we get to pay all of the add-on fees, the most we'll pay for him is 49 million. And when you think Everton paid 45 million for Alex Iwobi, really, really is a great deal, that, isn't it?
I mean, when you put it like that as well, it makes it even, oh my days, it's an amazing deal. But Cam, same question to you, thoughts on, because I know how much you love him as well. I think we all love him, to be honest. But Luis Diaz's impact as a whole at the club so far since he joined in January.
What is there to say about this guy? He's been a revelation since he joined. He's set a fire under this entire squad ever since he's joined. Like, we've just been, like, we didn't look like we was going to do much. We might have done like a trophy or two, but he's like spurred us on to like quadruple talks and stuff like that. He's just been ridiculous ever since he stepped foot in at Liverpool. And a lot of people predicted it that he was going to be phenomenal. Like, he just gets it. He just gets it. Like, the one thing I love most about him though is his work rate to win the ball back. When he loses that ball, he's straight up and he's running, he's sprinting for that ball back. His work rate is second to none. It's that South American work rate. It's ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that completely. I'll just flick through some of the comments first. Big up Nippon, who says hi. Big up to you, bro. Big up Marshall, who says quad loading. Yeah, hopefully, man. Taha as well says Benzema's coming. You just like to hate. And this question for all of you: do you see Van Dijk making a revenge tackle on Benzema for what Ramos did all those years? No.
We need to drop the word revenge because it's not a word that's used in the club. I know Salah said there's some unfinished business. You go into football matches using phrases like revenge, you very easily become emotionally attached to that.
Yeah, it's already letting your emotions get the better of you.
And European Cup finals, the first thing you need to do, which Manchester City failed to do last year, was deal with the occasion and let it be about football rather than what's in your heart. And that's where they struggled. So what we don't need to do is be saying, right, we'll go and get retribution on somebody because of what happened with Ramos and Salah. The best way you can get retribution is to turn up, follow your game plan, win the trophy, and lift number 7. That's the best way you get revenge on Real Madrid, not by being overly aggressive on players. We will have to deal with Benzema, and he will have to be pretty much man-marked because he's so dangerous. But I don't like the threat, and I understand why it's being said, but I'm not one who goes around using the phrase revenge.
Yeah, I hear that. I think, none of us want, injuries like that to happen to anyone on the pitch, even though, we all don't want that to happen. And like Steve said, you're letting your emotions get the better of you. And what are you making of these Salah comments that he's been making in his interviews and what he tweeted and stuff like that? Cams, I'll go to you first, man.
I love it. I love it. I love stuff like that. He's making it interesting. So, like, post on his Instagram, it probably wasn't him. It's probably his PR team. We have a score to settle. I love stuff like that. I just planting that little seed of like getting the Madrid players' heads. Just little things like that. I love it.
Yeah, I hear that. You know what I actually had a lot of respect for him for as well? The way he just came out in that interview after the game, because obviously this was before the Real City game, of course.
Yeah.
And said when they asked him, he was like, "Which team would you rather play? I want to play Real Madrid." And it's like, when Van Dijk had his interview before, he's like, "Oh, we don't care about this,
Yeah, it's the PR answer.
And I'm thinking, what a liar, innit? Like, you don't want to play City. We all know it, innit? Like,
you want to play the team that beat you like 3 years or 4 years ago and you was embarrassed. That's the team you want to play.
Exactly. But also, let's be honest, yeah. Even if you take that out, I know you've got to respect Madrid in Europe and all this stuff, but City are better than Madrid in it. They are.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, I'd much rather...
for 90 minutes, Man City were perfect, but
Man City should have knocked Real Madrid. Actually, obviously this is a Liverpool show, but I do think that game probably has to be discussed the other day. The Real Madrid Man City. What were your thoughts on that as an overall game? Overall, the two legs, Steve. Where do you think City? What do you think was to blame for City going out? Few factors or one particular one?
Couple of things. Should have been 5-0 up inside 30 minutes in the first leg, and you do the Mahrez one that goes into the side netting, and Guardiola does his nut on the touchline, and the commentator says, "Oh, they probably needed that one to close out the tie already." Very true. Came to pass. That was exactly right. I spoke about this yesterday on another show. You have to take into consideration the human factor. So when Real Madrid score, well, they got back into the game 4 times across the 2 legs, didn't they? But in particular, yesterday's game, when Real Madrid scored the first goal, nobody in Manchester City's team wants the ball, which is why it was given back to Real Madrid very quickly from the kickoff. And then they go down the right-hand side and Carvajal crosses and they make it 2-1 on the night to go into extra time. These guys are seriously professional guys. They earn a lot of money and they win a lot of trophies, but you can't legislate for what goes on inside someone's head in moments.
They're all human beings at the end of the day.
Of course they are. So, and it happened to Liverpool for 45 minutes. You start to doubt yourself. You start to doubt what your objective is, and you start to doubt how you can get through it. So you're passing the ball to somebody that doesn't want it. So what do? They try and get rid of it, and they give it to somebody that's thinking, actually, I'm not enjoying this, and then you surrender possession, which is what Liverpool did for 45 minutes, and Manchester City did for 2.5 mad minutes at the end of that game. There's no blame to proportion. You can't blame Guardiola and you can't blame the players. It's kind of one of those is what it is things. It happens. They will deal with that a lot quicker than the fans will deal with it. You know, Jurgen Klopp was in the bar singing, I've seen the European Cup at 4 o'clock in the morning after losing to Real Madrid. They process defeats a lot quicker than we do. We're the ones that take to social media for weeks on end with massive hang-ups about losing games of football. It's their job. They learn to deal with it. So the human factor was probably the biggest thing, not being able to manage the game. You saw Real Madrid going down every time anybody made contact and staying down.
Yeah.
Maybe if Manchester City had taken that option towards the end of the game when it was 1-1 on the night and they were up by a goal in aggregate, maybe we'd be talking about playing Manchester City and not Real Madrid.
Yeah, I hear that. In terms of the Pep substitutions, though, people are criticizing I think he did get some wrong, and I think that did impact it. I think the De Bruyne one, people are criticizing that one. I actually thought that was a very good one. Kevin De Bruyne wasn't having a good game.
He was shattered.
And the guy
as well.
he brings
he
on,
was shattered.
Yeah, and the guy he brings on, Ilkay Gundogan, he's probably better at ball retention than KDB, which was kind of what was needed. And you also look at the pass that I think Gundogan made to Bernardo Silva in the build-up to the goal.
The thing is with that, let me just quickly say, the thing with that is if Pep doesn't make the subs, people say, "Oh, he didn't change it." But he tried to be more defensively secure. He took KDB off, an attacking player. He brought on a more defensive player in Gundogan. He brought on Fernandinho with 10 minutes to go to show up the game. And it didn't work. Just sometimes it doesn't work.
Whilst I do agree, I think the KDB one was a brilliant sub, and that was proven by the fact of Gundogan playing such a key role for me in that goal. That pass to Bernardo Silva, when I was watching, I thought, oh, that's a great pass. Then obviously Bernardo Silva drives forward, sets up Mahrez. But
yeah,
the ones that I didn't get actually were the Mahrez and Gabi substitutions. I thought they were, because when I thought about it, did Pep invite pressure onto the team by making those substitutions?
A little bit, maybe. I think you kind of have to look at it as well. He clearly played players, and the most obvious one would be Kyle Walker, who was probably told by his medical team not to. I mean, you hear Jurgen Klopp on his press conferences saying, I'm just waiting for a message to come from the phone to tell me who I can't use at the weekend, because these guys go on machines and they can predict when they're going to break down and when they're going to get injuries. And I think he took De Bruyne off to protect him for the rest of the season because he was spent. He was absolutely done on the night. There was nothing left in the tank. And in certainly the last 10 minutes and all the way through extra time, City looked really leggy to me. They looked really tired.
Yeah.
You can only hope there's a little bit of fallout and that carries on into the weekend against Newcastle.
I was going to ask that after this year.
Yeah. You hope that would happen. I think he played players that he was probably advised not to, and then he has to make the changes. I think the Mahrez one, the fact that he scores, kind of vindicates that change. I don't think Jesus was having a particularly good game, to be honest with you.
It's what he offers, though, in terms of the runs in behind and stuff, where the game could... I just feel like Real Madrid, because you see, I thought Jack Grealish did okay when he came, and I know those 2 chances, but I don't really put that down to him. It was a great save and a shot cleared off the line, but...
Plus, he created them himself.
Shot to the ball, innit? And then I just thought that would enable Madrid to play a bit higher, get up the pitch a bit easier, get on the ball in more dangerous... in City's half more at the end of the day. So I just thought Pep invited a bit of pressure onto the team, by making the subs that he did. By that I mean Mahrez and Gabby getting substituted. Just because of the attributes that they offer on the pitch compared to like a Grealish, for example. But if we just move on for that, let's go into the title race now, actually, because Steve mentioned there. What impact does... We'll talk about us in a bit, but what impact could this game in midweek have on Manchester City for the title running now? Cams, I'll go to you first, actually, on this. I saw you tweet about it the other day.
Yeah, I genuinely feel like this could cause a slip up. It might not be a loss, but it might. But like that, a loss like that absolutely shatters. It probably doesn't as much as I'm deep in it, but a loss like that where you've got 2 feet in the final and it's just ripped away from you, like within 5 minutes, just 3 goals in 5 minutes. Just it'll absolutely flatter anyone that. But I feel like that's gonna cause an upset towards the end of the season. Might even be tomorrow or whenever they play Newcastle this weekend.
About that game, Steve, I'll go to you. Do you think there's a genuine possibility that City drop points on Sunday at home to Newcastle, considering what's happened in midweek?
Potentially. Newcastle are safe. They don't need to worry about looking over their shoulder. They've nothing to lose by going there and having a go. They will be brave, which you need to be against Manchester City. You'll know from the times on the pods that you've been on with me. I think if you're brave against Manchester City, you get opportunities. And you look at the Champions League final where Chelsea left 2 players high and wide for the whole game, and it stopped the centre-backs of City joining in with the midfield and totally dominating the game. So that was tactically really, really clever by Tuchel, and the running of Timo Werner was really good. And when you think of Timo Werner and you think of Newcastle, you think that they've got a willing runner in Alan St. Maxim who can also play out wide and stay and make telling runs into space at the right time. So I would like to see Newcastle come and have a go rather than sit back and try and keep them out, because I think when you settle on that as a game plan against Manchester City, you lose the game. Simple as that, because they will create too many chances because they create too many angles. It's like death by 1,000 cuts against City, isn't it? They can get you anywhere they want, really. So I think you kind of need to be brave. They need to force themselves into the game. And they've got players. If Chris Wood plays, Chris Wood is a big physical guy. Ruben Diaz's challenge on Benzema was appalling. No need to make that challenge.
No, I said it after that. I was like, there was absolutely no need to just dive in like that. Benzema's touch actually took him away from goal. There was no need to go to ground in the box there. Like,
I feel like if that's any other attacker on the pitch, no one does that, because it's Benzema and he's got that aura around him at the moment where one touch and it's a goal. Like, he felt he had to make that challenge. It's still.
I do hear that, but it's not. I don't think it's an excuse for Diaz.
It's definitely not. But at the same time, in that moment, he obviously just thought to do it. It wasn't the right idea in hindsight, but yeah.
I mean, I hear it, but I just thought it was a ridiculous tackle to make for me. But in terms of City, though, on Sunday, I mean, obviously we have to get... In fact, let's just go into our game and we could maybe revisit the rest of the games in the title race after. But if you go into the game tomorrow, you guys confident for tomorrow at home to Spurs? Obviously, for me, it is our toughest league game for the rest of the season, for sure. I think personally, Spurs have the weapons in attack for sure to hurt us. We all know Conte. He'll set up five at the back, basically park the bus, and look to exploit our high line. Kane dropping deep, playing those balls through for Son. And they got enough to hurt us in attack. Steve, how are you feeling for the game, mate?
It is without doubt our toughest game, and everyone targets our right hand side of our defence because they know Trent's further forward creating chances. Not because he can't defend, because actually he can.
I think he's improved so much.
Yeah, he has. But because his position, he's the risk taker in the team, so he's licensed to get forward. And if we concede down the right-hand side, the inquest doesn't include him. It includes the people that should be filling in for him on the right-sided centre-back. So I think Son down there is an obvious ploy for Tottenham.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They will either turn up and give a very good account of themselves, or they'll turn up and get blown away. You kind of don't get an in-between in games against Tottenham.
Yeah.
What is interesting for me is that Kane has been dropping into that space again and picking the ball up. Well, that space is now occupied by Fabinho on Sunday, so over the weekend. So I don't see him being as effective in that link play role because we have a man in there all of the time. So this is a tough
but wasn't that what? Sorry to interrupt you, Steve. There, but wasn't that what kind of Kane did to Rodri though away to City in terms of, he got obviously we all know Kane how influential he was in that game. Do you not think he could do the same to Fabinho in this game? What he did to Rodri?
No, I think we're better defensively than City.
That's true.
So if he's hitting diagonal balls to wide men, and Kulusevski shouldn't be overlooked either because he's had a really good impact.
He's been brilliant. I think him and Diaz have been the best two January signings.
Yeah, easily. So that we need to be mindful of that. But at home with the fans behind us, with what we're trying to achieve, we need to have the team and the atmosphere and the ground and the supporters build up a head of steam and blow them away, and we're quite capable of doing that.
Yeah, 100%, 100. When you speak about atmosphere there, do you think that's actually helped us, the timing of the game tomorrow?
Yeah, of course, yeah. We've just come back from a difficult European semi-final. We've got through into the final. It's an opportunity for the fans en masse to say, we're right behind you to the team, well done. Yeah. The best way to do that is to turn up on the day, be loud, sing loads of songs, be very vocal. Anything that goes against us, like when Arteta lost his rag, that changed the whole feeling in the ground, and Liverpool improved from that moment on. We need a big turnout from the crowd tomorrow night, because if we're passive, the team get passive. If we're energised and motivated, the team feed off that, and we'll need to be all of those things against Tottenham.
100%, definitely. Cams, what are your thoughts on the game tomorrow? Are you confident for tomorrow?
It's Tottenham. Tottenham are a hot and cold team at the moment. Like you saw the performance against Brentford, they were poor, but then they can have a game like they did against City. Like Tottenham are just, you never know what you're going to get with Tottenham right now. So I'm a little bit cautious on this game. I am very cautious.
I hear that. I know Tottenham have they're light on their left wing back, because I know Doherty's out for the season. I know Reguilon's out for tomorrow, I've heard as well. I think he's injured for tomorrow. So obviously they got Emerson Royale at right back, who's just appalling for me. Whenever I say, I think he's crap. But I don't know who they're going to play at left wing back. So that
Tanganga if he's fit. It'll be Tanganga if he's fit.
At left wing back. Yeah,
and he played quite well against Halliday before, so it'll be interesting. He's quite the athlete, so that'll be interesting. But we're now at a stage where we don't rely on Mo Salah. So when Mo Salah gets the ball, he draws 2 or 3 people to him, and if he's clever with his next movement or his next pass, as we saw, he's turned into a bit of a creator of late. So there'll be opportunities to his left, because there's not enough defenders to cover the spaces that they leave trying to cover Salah. So yes, he's not scoring the goals that he scored earlier on in the season, but he's playing more than
he's impacting games still.
Yeah, of course he is, yeah.
You know what about him, actually? I was saying this the other day. I've got to shout him out for his performance the other day, because I know he didn't score, but actually I thought in the first half, for me, it might have been different for you guys. I thought he was the only outfield player for me who could actually come out with that first half with a little bit of credit. I didn't think he was that bad in the first half. I actually think he actually did the basic things okay in that first half for me. What did you guys think of that? Do you agree?
I'll take it because cams are still muted. Yeah, it was difficult for him because he was feeding off scraps, he's feeding off balls being played into him in a way that he wouldn't want them. You can never question Mo Salah's work rate. You can never question his ethic. When he's not scoring, he's more than a thorn in the side of the opponents, and he's got this inner hunger to, he's got this inner hunger to go out and attack people and be really focused on what he's trying to do. So I would agree with you that from a really, really poor performance in the first half, he might be the guy that you could say came out there with any sort of credibility. But I'm not going to play on that, and I'm not going to worry about that. Look, it is what it is. It happens. People are only human, like you said before. So you get to a situation where we don't perform for 45 minutes. Yeah. It's not a case of pointing fingers at people. It's a case of correcting what was going wrong and winning the game, which we did.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that completely. Yeah, and obviously Cams has had to just dip people. Big him up, big Cams up. Make sure you go and follow his Twitter, etc. All that. Obviously you mentioned Son down the left for them, could be very effective against us tomorrow. And you mentioned the right centre back has a major role to play. Who do you think will play tomorrow against Spurs as the right centre back?
I'd play Konate because of the extra pace.
Yeah. Do you think he'll play Konate?
Say again?
Do you think he'll play Konate? Because obviously he's just played in midweek.
No, I don't think he'll play Matip, but my worry would be that Son's got the legs on Matip. Yeah. And he's in the rich vein of form at the moment, so he will fancy his chances of being involved. But if we do what we do and we control the game and we limit them to playing counter-attacking football and we deal with that, we are considerably better than them. We should have too much for them. But if there's a team in the league right now that's set up to play against the high line, it's Spurs. Yeah. So it will be an interesting set of circumstances tactically. Do we sit a little deeper? No, I don't think we do. We've been very clever with the way we've used VAR to pick out the offsides. Very brave, but very clever. And it's worked for us. So I don't think it will change.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yeah, I agree with that. Also, what would be your team for tomorrow against Spurs, starting from the goalkeeper?
Well, Alisson picks himself best goalkeeper in the world.
Yep.
Trent, I would play Konate because we need that pace in that channel if they do get in behind us. But I think he'll go with Matip. Van Dijk picks himself. I might be tempted to play Simicast.
Oh, really? That's an interesting one. I thought Robbo
struggled first half.
Struggled the most in the first half the other day, actually.
Yeah. Midfield three, I think, will be Henderson, Fabinho, and Thiago. I genuinely think they'll go with those three because they want to stop Bentancur getting involved in the game because that's a good player. That
he's a good player. Yeah.
And then the front three hopefully will be Mo, Sadio, and Diaz. That's what I'm hoping for. But you can try and second guess Jurgen Klopp all night, mate, and you'll get something wrong because at the moment he's just calling us all out with his team selections, and no one's getting anywhere near what he's choosing to do, are they? So, I think the Villa game is a game where we see a bit more rotation. To be fair, so
I agree. I can see Bobby if he's fit playing that game. I think Jota will come in for that game against Villa. By the way, midfielders. We all know what I think the midfield should be tomorrow. But then, wholesale changes. I'm not saying wholesale changes against Villa, but I'm saying that's the game where you might see Simicast, for example. You might see Joe Gomez at right back again. It's kind of these sorts of changes, I'd say. With the game tomorrow, let's skip the game tomorrow. In terms of the running for the season now, the title running, because I did this last week as well, going through kind of the remaining games in the title race. How do you think they kind of play out? So Sunday, obviously, we said we'd revisit the City-Newcastle game. What do you think will happen in that game, the City-Newcastle? The big question is, I think everyone wants to see is, how does Wednesday night affect Manchester City mentally?
I don't think Newcastle's the game where Manchester City slip up. I think an interesting dynamic has happened since West Ham got knocked out in the semi-final. They need to rally and get 6-9 points to make sure they qualify for the Europa League again next season. So for me, I see West Ham coming back a bit stronger in terms of their not resting players. That's a tough game for them. And then obviously Villa, last game of the season. Steven Gerrard will never tell you that he's doing it for Liverpool, but there'll be a little bit something in him that will make him try a little bit
There'll be more
harder.
than a little bit. There'll be more than a
Yeah,
little bit.
he'll never tell you it. Just as when we played them, he'll play us to win the game because he's a consummate professional. There's not going to be you can't doubt.
There's not going to be any. Let's make it easy. Nothing like that. No, he's a professional. Like you said, he's a professional. At the end of the day, he's got a job to do for Aston Villa. That's who he's paid by. That's who he works for, etc. So, I don't get it. I think we'll beat Villa quite easily on Tuesday because I don't really rate Aston Villa as a team, to be honest, and especially the way they're playing. I think we'll be fine against them, even with making numerous changes, which I think will be the case. But yeah, in terms of Sunday, it's just that question of I just want to see how City are and how their players are mentally after what happened on Wednesday night. Because if they are, and obviously playing 120 minutes of such a high intensity game as well, such a big game, and coming out the losing side, there is going to be some mental, they are going to be a bit mentally drained, I think. So, I mean, I could probably still expect to see them come out on top against Newcastle, to be honest. But then we go into next midweek as well. We've got Villa away on the Tuesday, I think. Personally, I think we'll be absolutely fine in that game, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's probably, for me, I think that could probably be our easiest game left of the season in the league.
Probably, possibly, yeah. Their form's a bit indifferent. As much as I love Steven Gerrard, and don't hate me for this, but if Steven Gerrard had been at Aston Villa for 2 years, their form at the moment there would be questions about Steven Gerrard as a manager.
Yeah.
He needs another transfer window or two to make it his own team, and then we'll
a
really
pre-season, I'd say, as well.
Yeah, and then we'll see what Aston Villa are about. But the point I'm trying to make there is that their form has been so indifferent. Their only recent win of any note is against Norwich. They've struggled prior to that. Hopefully, they continue to struggle against us. The sort of new manager bounce has gone. So what we're seeing now is some of the same issues that Dean Smith couldn't deal with. So they back Gerrard in the summer and he makes some changes, and Villa come again with they're his team then, aren't they? But I think we're more than capable of dealing with them on Tuesday night. I would be massively surprised if we didn't.
Oh yeah, I think 100%, definitely. So then after that, you've got Wolves at home to Manchester City. Is that a game you're looking at and you've got hope?
That's a tough game. Wolves don't give you much. Wolves don't give you much. Their manager's got COVID, which might be a concern. So he's not travelling this weekend.
Okay.
Bruno Large's got COVID, so hopefully he'll be out of isolation for that game.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to play Manchester City without your manager in the dugout.
No. Yeah.
I don't know how far he is into his isolation or whether it goes on beyond that. But at the end of the day, that's a match. If we had, you'd be looking at it thinking they can make life difficult for you. They've made a season out of making life difficult for people. They're not easy to play against.
No, they're not at all. Although I do think, I mean, their defensive record was very, very good earlier in the season, actually. But they have started, I don't think they've been playing that well recently, Wolves, from what I've seen as well. I know they got beat 3-0 at home to Brighton the other week as well. So, yeah, but I do think playing against Man City, I think Wolves probably do have some good counter-attacking threat going the other way as well. They have got players who could hurt City as well. So that would be a very interesting one as well. That is one game where I'm looking at and thinking there's a possibility there.
Well, you're right, because they want to play in the areas where Manchester City don't want them to play. They want to play in the areas where Manchester City operate with their fullbacks. Yeah. Wolves do a lot of their work down the left and right, particularly down the left-hand side. So I said earlier that Manchester City played players they probably shouldn't have played. Kyle Walker looks like he could be done for the season, mate, because he was not in great shape, was he? So,
no, he wasn't.
So it'll be Cancelo at right back, Zinchenko at left back. Cancelo's not all that defensively.
No, he's not.
Very good going forward. As you know, probably the next best thing to Trent going forward. But certainly not defensively brilliant. And some of their wide guys will enjoy playing against City. So that's a potential banana skin. But you know, I think we're clutching a little bit here, trying to find games where we can say City might struggle there. It's not inconceivable that we both win all of our games up to the end of the season. We lose the league by a point, which would be no disgrace to lose to it. You know, we're talking of how good we are, but we can't catch City.
They're brilliant. They're equally as good. No, they're a brilliant team. There's no doubt about it. 100%. I mean, obviously that's going to come out in a title race at the end of the day. It does bring out a lot of emotion. You are looking for any needle in a haystack kind of thing and all that. So, yeah, I agree. Obviously, next weekend we play the cup final. I'll get onto the cup final after this, actually. But if we just focus on the league, City play West Ham away on the Sunday. Now, you did briefly speak on West Ham there. Them going out of Europe, I wanted them to go out of Europe as well for that reason of taking that. Because if they'd have got to the final, let's be honest, next Sunday would have been a write-off. They would have played the youth team and all that, and, you know, might as well have just gifted City 3 points.
Suddenly they've got to take it seriously. Suddenly their whole season hinges on the last 4 games of the season, where they need 6, maybe 9 points to guarantee themselves a Europa League spot, which for them is a good season. Let's be honest about that. I would expect them. I would imagine they turn up big style in that game, and they'll have to. My only worry is they've only got one centre back, which is Dawson. They're really struggling, sort of defensively in that regard. So,
did Zuma get injured or something yesterday?
No, sorry, Zuma's back. Dawson picked up a red card, didn't he? So I don't know
against
how long
Chelsea, but I think that's only a 1-match ban. And obviously, I think they would.
It would be good if both of them could play. That is a dangerous. We know we went there and we got what we deserved for the way we played on the day.
Yeah.
You have to be at it against West Ham, mate. So hopefully they don't get what they want from that game.
Yep, hopefully I agree with that. That will be a tough game for City, I think, especially now West Ham have to take it seriously. They have to try and fight for a European spot now to make sure they get that. And at home against City, they could be a problem for them. And then obviously we play Southampton, I think, in our game in hand in the midweek after. Now that's a weird one because Southampton are a bit of they're the most weird side in the league for me. You just don't know what you're going to get from them, really. 1 minute they haven't lost to Manchester City this season, but then they can go and lose 6-0 at home and all this. Like, what are you thinking for that game, Stu?
I think they're dreadful. They're genuinely dreadful. They sold Vestergaard and they sold Ings in the summer. They sold 2 of their spine, and I think they've really struggled this season because of that reason. So I don't see Southampton being too much of an issue. That game when we lost there and he crumbled to the floor and was crying and stuff, we were at our lowest ebb for years when that happened. So I don't see that being a particularly difficult game.
I mean, I hear that all you have to do in that game is just avoid giving any set pieces away in dangerous positions in that game. Yeah. That's all. That's one thing we have to be careful of in that game. But I think we should be okay in that game. I know Southampton play quite a high line a lot of the time as well, Hassan Hutel, so that could really play into our hands. But we go into obviously the final day of the season. Then Wolves at home for us, Aston Villa at home for Manchester City. I would expect both teams to win their last game of the season for me. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Wolves will be well and truly on the beach by then, and it will be plain sailing, and we just do what we do. I think we win 2 or 3, maybe even 4. Aston Villa versus City, if it comes down to a last day shootout, I think City have got enough about them to get over the line in that. So kind of looking for Wolves or West Ham to do us a favour, or even Newcastle ahead of that. But as I said before, I think we're trying to create scenarios in all of the games where we can make a case for City to drop points, but the reality is they're having just as good a run as we are at the moment. So, you know, it's difficult to see. It's difficult to see where that happens.
Yeah, I hear that. I think if it is in City's hands on the final day of the season, I expect City to get the job done, if I'm being real that day. But obviously, one game we haven't touched on that's kind of going under the radar now a little bit because of the League and Champions League is the FA Cup final. Are you confident for that game? Because personally, I am confident about playing Chelsea this time in that final.
They're not where they were when we played them in February. They're certainly not where we were when they played them in the 2 league games. There's a lot of sort of grey area around Chelsea at the moment, and they say it doesn't affect the players, but it is. They don't appear to be it psychologically. I don't even think the manager's in a great place right now. What they will be against Liverpool is they will be pragmatic. They'll be difficult to break down, and they'll try and win games on set pieces. They'll turn up. Don't worry about that. They'll turn up for the game. They've got their players are too experienced and too good not to. It isn't an easy fixture. I do expect us to win, but it isn't an easy fixture. And they might think they've got a score to settle from the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, I hear that completely. Obviously, the Carabao Cup game was a very tough game, and let's be honest, we're kind of lucky to win that as well. I thought they probably created just the better chances in that game, just about. But Chelsea aren't in a good place right now. They're really struggling in a lot of games, but are they gearing up for that cup final? That is their only thing to really play for this season now. I mean, they are the underdog, which I think kind of helps them in the way that you look at some of their big performances under Thomas Tuchel. It's always a lot of the time when he is the underdog in that game. You look at I expected Manchester City to beat them in the Champions League final last year, but Tuchel got a game plan as the underdog, and they perfected it. And same with other games this season. Is Chelsea in a big game, one-off game, are quite a dangerous side actually. The way Thomas Tuchel is tactically, and I think it will be a tough game. But I just think we're in such good form at the moment. Like you said, I don't think they're the same team that they were back when they did play us in the Carabao Cup final. And I just feel with the form we're on, I feel we'll have too much for them. Like Steve said, I don't think it'll be easy, but I think we'll win and we'll have deserved to win. Do you get what I mean? I think we'll always be in control of the game, if I'm being honest, and it'll just be about breaking them down and just being alert and concentrated in defence for me. So I think we'll win that as well. So I'll ask you the final question before we close out. What else are we winning? What are we winning this season?
We'll win the ones we can affect for sure. I think we beat Real Madrid and I think we beat Chelsea. We rely on other people to help us out with Manchester City, and that means I can't sit here with chest and say we're going to win the league, because I think there's a possibility that they do what we do, which is go through to the end of the season unbeaten, and we lose the league by a point again, which would be hard to take. But like you said before, how much damage has Wednesday night done to them? Because they can go into training today and Pep Guardiola say, right, forget it, it's gone. But has it gone? Has it really gone from their minds? It's kind of the holy grail for Manchester City. We all know.
And I just thought it was such a horrible way for them to lose, especially after losing the final last year as well. To go out, to be literally that close to a final and to lose it like that, sorry.
Yeah, and so un-City-like. So un-City-like to lose a game that way. They're normally good enough to keep the ball for 5 minutes, never mind 2. It was really, really out of character. And they got a couple of injuries picked up along the way, and they did look a bit leggy. And like you said before, it was 120 minutes. It was a hard 120 minutes. So let's hope Newcastle can capitalise on that. But I think we win the ones we can affect. I think we do win those games. And I think if City draw or lose, then that's there for the taking. And how mental would it be to sort of complete the quadruple? It's like football's completed, mate. That's it.
It is. I mean, it's unprecedented if that happens at the end of the day. It would just be unbelievable. And in terms of me, I think, well, like I said, I think we'll win the FA Cup. I'm quite confident about that. I do think we'll win the Champions League. I think it'll be tough, and I'm not writing Madrid off at all. But I do think we'll win that as well. I just really need to see. It's just, put it this way, I've got, after Leeds away, after City beat Leeds away last week, I thought, nah. I just thought then, nah, we're not winning the league. Having to rely, because I just believe that below the top two, I just think the quality of the standard of the teams in the league is quite poor. And I'm like, how can I expect any of you to go and get a result against Manchester City? But now Wednesday night happened. It's just a question of how do City cope mentally? And that's the big question. So 50-50 for the league, I'd say at the moment. It's literally touch and go. I actually don't really know, but you've got a chance. I've got genuine hope we can win the title. So sorry, that's what I will say. But I think we'll close out the show there, people. It's been a great stream. Big up yourself, Steve, for coming on. Anything else you want to plug, mate, before I end the broadcast?
No, just like you've said before, keep around Redmen. We have a show called The Final Word, which is Wednesday. So I'll be on for Final Word. And then I'm hanging around for a bit longer to do the debate show as well, where all three guests pick something to debate, which is usually quite fun because there's some pretty mad stuff that gets brought up in that. So it's usually a bit of a laugh. But yeah. If you don't subscribe to Red Men, do, because it's there's a lot of content coming out there. There's 2 or 3 shows a day. There's documentaries and all kinds of stuff. And like you said before to me, outside of Liverpool Football Club's own TV channel, it's probably the biggest platform for LFC.
Oh, it is for sure. It is for sure. Yeah, as Steve said, make sure you go and subscribe to the channel, watch their streams as well. And yeah, on this channel, I don't know what we've coming up soon. Just look for the schedule soon. I don't think there's anything else on the channel tonight, but stay alert for the schedule and alerts on notifications and all that. And big up yourselves, everyone. We are out.